Joining us now, NewsNation political contributor and Republican strategist Denise Gitsham, former President George W. Bush aide. Good morning to you. What are you hearing from your sources about prosecuting or investigating the people that we just mentioned? How much time do you think Trump gives Bondi to act?
Well, she's definitely under pressure. You know, when you make a statement like that, obviously they retracted it quickly, and then he followed up with a lot of praise for her. But he clearly is getting a lot of pressure from his MAGA base to push this forward. And I'm sure he didn't really need it because he has a personal vendetta against each of the individuals that you mentioned. I think that to me seems like less of a free speech issue and more of a matter of tit for tat. Right. Whenever you live in a society where a new standard has been set, and that's what Democrats did when they went after President Trump, both at the federal, state, and local level in the last election cycle, 63% of Americans saw it for what it was, which was lawfare. And 80% of Americans said, I remember these quotes, these stats when we were talking about it yet last year and the year before, that they didn't think President Trump could get a fair shake, even if he came to trial because of the lawfare. So to me, President Trump seems to be focused on the actual criminal acts that they may have committed. And as he said in his post, we'll find out whether or not they're guilty, but we should at least bring them before the court of law and determine whether that's the case. The free speech issue is that Tulsi is addressing seems like a very different issue, more of a Kimmel issue, and that's something that I think deeply needs to be explored. And I think conservatives need to think really long and hard about what principles we stand for, rather than giving into the partisan impulses of the moment.
Yeah, since you bring that up, let's talk about it for a moment. What more are you hearing from those within your circle about the free speech debate and late night talk and the administration's role and influence?
Well, there's a split, right? There's a split between those of my friends who are Trump loyalists and just really upset about what's happened in the wake of Charlie and wondering, what contributes to an environment, a society where we think that we're more upset about the cancellation of a talk show host than the death of a father and a husband and a free speech crusader. And there's also a lot of talk in my circles about the hypocrisy, right? Democrats, I didn't see anyone come up and stand up for the millions of people who were fired during COVID for having a different opinion about what was factual. And yet here they are crying, banana republic, how can we have this sort of prosecution of free speech now that it's going against them? Again, this speaks to a really deep issue that conservatives have to look within and ask ourselves, what is it that we stand for moving forward? Because we're not always going to have President Trump at the helm protecting conservative causes. When the pendulum shifts back to the left, what kind of a standard do we want to set that enables us to govern by principle, the key principle of our very First Amendment, which is fundamental to being American, which is upholding free speech, even if it's hateful?
Denise, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for stopping by.